Hey, what's happening, Roland? Well, hey, this is the updated week. This is actually the third week of September. In fact, fall starts tomorrow. That's a really cool deal. And I just got back from O'Reilly's. Don't you love this truck? Isn't it so cool? It's all pretty clean with the booyah clean and all. But anyway, I bought some batteries. Now here's my new airboat. Well, it's not my new airboat. I've had this for a while. I'm fixing it all up. It's just a prince of an airboat. I got an airboat camp and everything. And I went down to O'Reilly's, and they have a battery. They have all kind of batteries. And one thing about batteries, I know a little bit about batteries. This is the battery that I'm going to use to start it with, and that's the big 496 Marine engine, and it's a real powerful engine. I use two of these batteries, and these are what they call glass mat technology. That's it's a advanced glass mat. So AGM batteries. AGM batteries are, you can't spill them. In other words, nothing comes out. There's no liquid. And what the nice thing about advanced glass mat technology is they hold a charge really, really well until at the very end they finally die out. But you can charge them. They're twice as expensive. You can charge them twice as much, and they last twice as long. So for a small battery, I mean, and they cost a couple $100. Now, they're not very cheap. They really are expensive, but they're really, really, really worth the while. When you're talking about a $50,000, $60,000 airboat like I have, you need a good battery. Now, in addition to this battery, I also have these Marine Start batteries, and I'm going to use those for the trolling motor. These are standard, what they call wet batteries, and these are standard batteries with water in them and acid. And so it's a different technology, of course, but it's the bigger battery. It's over 100 amp of batteries, and again, it's the perfect thing for recharging for trolling motors. Anyway, I got that for the airboat as well. Now, speaking of this battery here, I went down to the Everglades this last Sunday, and it was so cool. I'll have to show you what I did. I come over here to the boat. I want to show you something. I went down to the Everglades, and I took my little 1542 little tracker marine boat. It's just a small little boat, a car top boat, and I went down to the A1 area. And here's just something what I did. I just want to show you what happened along here. See if I can get this thing going. That's just one of the many little bass that I caught. I'll just show you some more pictures. And I caught that bass taking this Cinco. This is it was actually I think it was a Bass Pro Shop, just a regular stick worm. But that's a two-tone blue worm, blue and black, 30-pound test braid. Ow! And I was taking that thing and I was skipping these things into these little pockets, like along in here, along the edge of the reeds and stuff, and all the edge of the hyacinths. You see how the hyacinths are growing right here? And I let that thing drop with no weight. It's only about 3 foot of water. And I was catching bass like that just almost every cast. I must have caught 30 or 40 bass. I couldn't catch a big bass. So then I've said, well, if I can't catch a big bass on a worm, I'm going to have to go to topwater. You notice it's cloudy? Notice the weather is cloudy? Well, let me go to the next picture, and I'll just show you some more stuff. What's that? That's a better fish, and I'll show you what that. Now I went to a topwater plug, like the Devil's Horse. I started throwing it on the overhanging bushes and along the canals and stuff, and I caught 3 or 4 bass, medium size, like I just showed you. Nothing real big. I even tried the Spro Pop 60, which is a great thing I use at the Headwaters lake all the time, and I catch a lot of them on that. But that wasn't really working. Then I went to my most reliable spinnerbait. This is the old Jimmy Houston model. This is called, Jimmy has just come out with this thing, by the way. This is the Strike King people. And I'm sorry, this Lucky Strike people. I'm not Strike King, it's Lucky Strike. And Jimmy, that's his logo on the back. Jimmy's came up with this spinnerbait about 50 years ago. And so Lucky Strike has been bought out by Toby Keith, the country singer. And he's also, Toby Keith is a big friend of Jimmy. They they graduated from the same high school, and they grew up kind of together, and they fish a lot together. And so Toby is just a real avid fisherman. So he bought the Lucky Strike company. And so when Jimmy got involved with it, he said, "Okay, want to do is I want to resurrect this what they call this one, This is the original. What's this? What's it called? Yeah, this is the red man. Okay, this is what they call the red man spinnerbait. Let me explain something about spinnerbaits and why this is so superior. It's a real strong 40-something thousandth snake. Now let's look at the Booyah spinnerbait, for example. It's a much lighter wire, and the Booyah is a nice spinnerbait. But look at that R band. It's quite fragile. So once you catch a few fish on this Booyah, you're running the risk of that wire breaking. However, with the red man spinnerbait, let me just show you this real quick. It's a heavier wire, but it's got a different band. Look at that circle band right there. And if this breaks, chances are it's going to break in here. It's not going to break right there. They just don't break. I mean, we caught so many big redfish a month ago, and all these giant fish. This is an indestructible spinnerbait. I'm telling you, with that heavier wire and that type of bend it is, it's just a really, really good bait. But anyway, I didn't catch much on that either. I mean, I caught a few. I'm just kind of going through some of the lures that I was using the other day. And then I went to I even went to the Carolina rig in the deep canal. You know, it runs 10, 15 feet deep in a lot of those places. And I have this new system where I tie I tie a leader on my 50. Well, this is kind of 50-pound braid. And I'm tying about a 12 pound monofilament leader or a fluorocarbon leader with a uni knot, and then I put a bobber stop in there. That's a bobber stop, and that weight now hits that bobber stop and it won't go down. But you can adjust it up the line higher if you want. Okay, but anyway, I caught a couple fish on this thing, but there wasn't much to them. I just really couldn't figure out the pattern. So, you know, the problem with any kind of fishing, I'd been away from A1, for example, for this whole year. I hadn't been back in a long time, and it's an area where it's only open 3 days a week, and you have to have a special boat. You got to have a car top boat. You can't trailer anything in. It's just a real pain. In fact, I dropped the boat on my toe, and I think I almost broke my toe in the process. But I used that battery that you saw that I got from O'Reilly's. That was a battery that was an AGM battery that lasted me all day, and I went for 5 or 6 miles on that one battery. And I had a second battery, by the way. But anyway, it's a real efficient system. But I tried the Red Man, and I tried another lure that you see me use a lot. And you know, I use it an awful lot. And let's face it, when it comes to so much of my fishing, you see me throwing this chatterbait. And what hit the chatterbait the other day with these Mayan cichlids? And look, they took the tail off. And a Mayan cichlid is kind of like a bluegill. It's not an indigenous species. It's from South America. Anyway, they get about 10 or 11 inches long and weigh about a pound. And they were hitting that chatterbait pretty good. But then I even tried some other little plugs. And here was that Stro Pop 60 that I like so well. That is so much of my favorite. I've caught so many big bass, particularly at Headwaters, particularly when there's water moving. The problem the other day, even though there's been rain, I was hoping that there'd be water moving in A1. And I got down there and all the pumps were off. It was completely still. There wasn't any current in any canal. And I said, this the kiss to death. That's really not good, because on a hot day, that water movement is really, really important. But there wasn't any water movement. So anyway, I was really kind of biting the bullet on that deal. Okay, let's look at this picture. This picture here, look at that big old bass. I think he got away. That was about a 7-pounder and an 8-pounder, and he jumped out, and I did a whole different ball game. See, I'd been throwing to those reeds, and I'd been throwing to those hyacinths in 2 and 3 feet of water. But out in the middle of some of these ditches, they've done a lot of the excavation, and a lot of this water out here is 6 and 7 feet deep, so it's a little deeper where you see these stickups. And for some reason, because the hydrilla is kind of it's not non-existent, it's just not as much hydrilla right now as normal. And so the best cover for them, the really best cover, I think, is these stickups, at least for the big bass. So I took this worm on this rod right here, or one of these rods. I guess it was this one here, one of these. Okay, here's one. And I threw it. Okay, here it is right here. Now here, it was really, really a cool deal, because I lost that one big one. I lost about a 7 or 8 pounder. I really, really had a big one on. And then that's a 4/0 EWG hook. That's a 5-inch worm. And here's what I was doing. I was just kind of going over there, and I was throwing right into the middle of the hyacinth, not the hyacinth, but I was throwing right into the middle of the bush. And this is an unweighted worm, so I just kind of throw to the center, just let it just kind of sinks like this. It just sinks slow and easy. And I'm a line watcher. I'm watching that line really close. And the second he hits it, you got to be fast on him. You got to take him. And boy, that 50-pound line, boom. Anyway, I started catching some bigger fish. So here's what happened. All of a sudden, I backed up and I came along, and look at this guy. Then I hit one here. Now I threw in these stick-ups. Now see how these big whole stick-ups here? That's a 7-pound bass. All of a sudden they got a 7-pound bass. And I'm thinking, well, hey, maybe we figured something out. After all these different lures and all these things aren't working, okay, there's no current. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to try the stick-ups. Okay, boom, catch a big bass with the stick-up. And it wasn't too much longer after that. Look at this. Caught another big one. Another big giant bass, about the same size. So the point is, I figured out the pattern. The pattern was those big stick-ups in 6 and 7 feet of water with that unweighted plastic worm. And maybe because it was a possible, the color was kind of different. I tried different colors, but that blue lamination was kind of really pretty. Anyway, that's kind of what's happening here. The one last little thing, I went to the turkey banquet the other day, and I'm going to just show you one of my little projects. The turkey that were doing some turkey calls. I gave away a big turkey call like you've seen me make. But I also did another little project I thought was kind of cool. You notice I kill these turkeys and I save these spurs. And here's one of the things I made. Look at this. Isn't this cool? It's a spur. These are turkey spurs. Look at this. Whole thing's full of a couple hundred of them. And I haven't fixed these yet. But what I do is I'll take these turkey spurs and I'll get all the stuff off of them, and I'll bleach them out. And see, I cut them with the bandsaw, and I'll put them on. That's just a heavy line. But anyway, I can make a whole bunch of those things. So that's one neat thing. Now, on these turkey calls, these aren't just some little turkey call that I make. These are one of 500. See, I have a book here, and I keep all the numbers of everybody's name. Whoever gets one, I put it down. I have them all written down, all the numbers and names. And so everybody has a numbered turkey call. And so like this one happens to be number 311. And it's a really good one. And they're all based on the original Neil Cost call. And this is that thousands of dollars worth call that Neil Cost made, say, 35 years ago. This is the most famous turkey call in the entire world. A Neil Cost boat paddle. I'm telling you. And I modify them. I even make them waterproof. I cut. That one happens to be camouflage. I make it out of butternut that I got off of Johnny Morrison's farm. The Liz acacia I get in my backyard. Anyway, I got this special mill over here. Look at this big mill that I get to make things with. I do it all out there, and I got another mill in the backyard. But the point is that I do a lot of work and do a lot of things. So not only do I fish, I do hunt. But I'm looking forward now. The fishing season's coming back on. It's fall now. I'll be going back over to Headwaters for the next 2 months or 3 months, and I'll be really filming a whole lot over there. And so I tell you, look me up. Go to Judy M at fishingwithrolandmartin.com. I can book you a trip. I'll take you to the best bass fishing you've ever seen. There'll be some moving water, hopefully. We'll catch plenty on topwater. We'll catch some big ones on shiners as well. Hey, so thanks for watching this YouTube. We'll see you again soon.